I'm excited to get this year's lawn care season started. Unfortunately, the weather is not cooperating. It's the 2nd of April and it's still snowing. The snow has finally melted and it's a balmy 43 degrees. So, thought it was a good time to get out in the yard and see how things survived winter. As you can see, the grass has not greened up too much. This area is a mix of rye, creeping fescue, a little bit of bluegrass. Not the best spot in the lawn, but it looks pretty good when it greens up. But you can see the aftermath from doing my sprinkler system last year. I still have noticeable trenching areas. I did get some decent germination in fall planting these. However, the one downfall of doing grass in fall is you don't get very much growth as our temperatures in this area rapidly decline. So I've got grass started in those areas, but it really needs to thicken up. This year you can see there's still some erosion from lack of a root system in there in some of these trenches. So I've got work to do on that. We can see these low spots in the yard still have a decent amount of water in them, so I want to roll and do some other things, but really hampered when the snow first melts and the frost comes out of the ground. Things are too squishy to do much of anything unless otherwise you're going to tear up the lawn. This is one of the areas I took a shot at renovating, so eliminating, basically killing off with Roundup my mix of grass species, my cool season grass. So I had rye, fescue, and some bluegrass in these areas. I killed it off to go with a complete bluegrass mix, mostly because of heat stress in the middle of summer. That tall fescue or the creeping red fescue I had did good in shady areas, but in spots where it got sun, it checked out in summer and looked pretty bad. So I wanted to get that out of the mix. Unfortunately, the only way to do that is really to kill it all off and plant a new species. I got pretty good germination in this area, but again, I was so late in summer when I did this. Really, I didn't have enough heat left in September to make this grass mature and get the roots down. So I'm hoping these small seedlings survived and will take off pretty quick. This is a perfect example of running out of those heat units. On the left-hand side is a renovation where I planted in late August. And on the right-hand side is a renovation that I planted in early August. And you can see there was a much better chance on this side for that grass to mature. Now, I don't have uniform coverage there. There's some issues there where I used sand for leveling and the sand got pretty deep and the seed did not stay wet enough and I didn't get germination. So I've got work to do there, but there's a great example. I started too late on the left-hand side, hoping I can recover here in spring. Here's the other area that I renovated and got planted late August, and you can see it's also quite pitiful. Needs a lot of work this year, and of course, where the drain comes in here, I got a lot of erosion, so I've got plenty of work to do on this area. The good news is, as you can see my trenches there, I do have a full in-ground irrigation system now that I got done late summer last year, and so I'm hoping that really gives me a leg up on keeping this grass and lawn strong all year. It is very early in our lawn care season yet, but there is one thing I hope I can get done today. And that one thing is hopefully get this plow damage sorted out. You can see the plow came right across the corner and up into the lawn with its blade and messed everything up good. And the one thing I'm most concerned about is I've got a sprinkler head that I added last year right in this area, so I may have to replace that or do some damage control on that. But anyway, pretty frustrating. Obviously, this is one of my renovation areas also. So the city may come and attempt to repair this, which I really don't want them to do because they're going to plant something other than the bluegrass I want. So I want to take care of this before they do. It's unfortunately a pretty big mess. It looks like there's some bluegrass that's still living in here and actually greening up already. So I'm going to attempt to squish back as much of the sod as I can. And then if I have to, I'm sure I'll have to come back after the fact and try to get leveling done, maybe a roller or something like that. These are the setbacks where I get people just give up and say it's not worth it. I don't care if I have a nice lawn because it's freaking hard. There's constantly things that prevent you from having a nice lawn that have nothing to do with your actions, but you have to deal with. I'm going to keep slugging through it and try not to be so stubborn and put out these fiberglass stakes November 1st or whatever before the first snowfall and make sure this doesn't happen in the future, or at least give the plow driver a better awareness of where the edge of the road is. Even though I really despise those stakes and think they're hideous, I'm going to use them. Now, normally I think I would just pull this sod out completely because you'd have no chance of leveling it with all the root balls and everything. But because we're in spring, we actually have a chance of saving this. Everything's so squishy. We might be able to jam it back down in place enough and get this leveled out to where it's a non-issue. This actually leveled a lot better than I thought it would, especially with all those chunks of sod in there. And I actually think some of this bluegrass is going to survive because we are still so early in spring here and everything's so wet. It hasn't dried out in the sun and killed it off. I'm still going to have to overseed this. And I think probably try to get a roller on it this week, along with this whole renovated area, overseed it and maybe come over with a roller, trying to flatten things out. So that'll be a good ticket there. The only thing left is I don't see my sprinkler head in here. I know it's right in this area, so I'm going to pace it off and try to locate it. And hopefully it's still there. All right, I knew it was equally spaced between my other two sprinkler heads, so I did that right about here, and it was about a foot in. Wouldn't you know, right into the middle of the worst part of the damage. Here it is, I found it. Oh boy. Well, It does not look damaged. The tube still looks attached, so let's hope that I don't have to dig it up again.